Laws went into effect on July 1st. Did you know?
Yeah, just a couple days ago, and here to break them all down for us, our legal expert, Wendy Patrick. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning.
I always wonder how lawyers and everybody to keep track of all these changes in the laws. The first one that everybody was talking about, the blood alcohol content, the BAC limit for rideshare drivers. This is a big one. Tell me about it.
It is. So rideshare drivers used to be held to the same standard as anybody else, which is 0.08 in California. Now, as of Sunday, it's going just in time for 4th of July. They are held to a standard of half the legal limit for everybody else. They're at 0.04%. However, I know a lot of people that wish it was 0.00 because after all, the reason we hire a rideshare, an Uber or a Lyft, we are drinking, so we hope they are not. So there's a lot of people that are dissatisfied with this, but at the very least, it's less than it was Saturday night. This went into effect Sunday morning.
That's true. Is there any, were there laws in place already, for example, before Ubers and Lyfts for like cab drivers, bus drivers, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, commercial drivers have always been at 0.04%, but Ubers and Lyft drivers were not. So it sort of leveled the playing field. But by the way, it only applies when they have a passenger in their car. So if somebody, some people like driving an Uber on their off time, if they choose to do so and they've indulged on the 4th of July, they're going to have to wait a couple hours till their blood alcohol drops to a 0.04 or lower, hopefully to 0.
And if you're caught doing that, DMV suspending the license of anyone.
Suspending your license and livelihood if that's the way you make your living.
You know
Very
what, Wendy?
important.
I am happy about these laws. I've shared it before. I was hit by a drunk driver a few years ago. I'm lucky to be alive, so please do not drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive, amen.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about marijuana. What is the new law that came into effect with this?
Well, a lot of people noticed there was a fire sale occurring over the weekend, selling, sometimes giving away marijuana products, and that's because as of Sunday, there are new regulations. These relate to packaging. These relate to both potency and pesticides, and they also relate to child safety. We've heard these stories since marijuana has become legal about accidental ingestion. I don't just mean pot brownies at the potluck. I mean children not knowing the difference and accidentally having some of these products. So there are going to be new regulations that are going to make them safer, that are going to make them more recognizable, and people are going to have to be in compliance or they can't sell the products.
So they dumped them essentially.
That's what they did over the weekend.
Friday, Saturday before.
But remember, Raul and Charlie, they had 6 months to get ready, to burn through, if you will, the supply that they already had to get ready for Sunday, which now should be a whole different set of products.
Okay, as the country continues with gun laws and what we do and what we don't do, California really is leading the pack when it comes to this. 2 new gun laws, correct? The first one has to do with assault weapons, and if you own it in registration, how does that work?
If you own an assault weapon, it's yours is the first thing. You can't transfer it or sell it. And you had to have registered it, and I hope you did this, by Saturday night at midnight. And you have to carry your registration with you if you own one, kind of like if you're driving a car. The definition of assault weapon is also different. There used to be exemptions. You know, many people remember the bullet button language. That's the button you had to use a tool to discharge the magazine instead of just your finger. Even those are now considered assault weapons. You know, I always say knowledge is power, laws are easy to find out, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Go to the Department of Justice website, read the new definition of an assault weapon to figure out if you have one.
And anyone assembling their own firearm, they also need to apply
for a serial number. Absolutely.
Because that was kind of like a loophole, right? If you build your own gun, it doesn't need to have a serial number.
Every law has a loophole, and that was one of them. And so the weekend laws regarding guns were meant to close up some of those loopholes. Everybody should take a look at them to make sure they're in compliance. If you want to have a gun, you have to have it safely and legally.
Seatbelts. I was on a bus. Where was I with my kids? And my kids turned to me and said, "Mommy, why are we not putting a seatbelt on a bus?"
Kids.
And I had no answer. I don't know why we're not wearing seatbelts, but do we have to wear them now?
Well, it's great questions like that that have prompted legislation to shore up that loophole. Absolutely. If you're on a bus that has a seatbelt, the law now says you have to wear it. Now, people are listening saying, why hasn't this been the law? And why are there buses without seatbelts? But it's just one of those things, you know, we're struggling to get into compliance and become more safe. So yes, if you are on a bus and thankfully you see a seatbelt, you got to click that thing on or risk a ticket.
If
as
it
we
has it,
say,
because some still
yeah.
don't.
Wait, who gets a ticket? The driver?
Well, that's the thing. Drivers get tickets if passengers don't have seatbelts, just like in cars, and passengers get seatbelts. They have to have them on too. So everybody's going to be watching to make sure that we're all in compliance.
You get a ticket. You get a ticket.
Tickets
Everybody
for
gets a
everybody if you're
ticket.
not buckled up. So
Oh boy.
make sure you do.
Wendy, Patrick, thank you so much. Happy 4th of July. I
Happy
see you're
4th
already
of July.
in
I'm
the
ready.
spirit.
I'm ready.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks.